Funivia or funicolare to ride my way up to the top of Mountaintop, which backdrops Gubbio, to see the Basilica of Sant'Ubaldo, built in the early 16th century and housing the body of Ubaldo, bishop and patron saint of Gubbio, who died in the mid-12th century and is now buried in the Basilica of Sant'Ubaldo. And up at the Basilica, I'm going to pay tribute to the Ceri. The three huge wooden candles is the literal meaning. You hear the breeze here? Carried in the race of the Ceri. And below us, Gubbio. The splendor of Gubbio, medieval hill town gem. And you can see behind me other people riding up, other people going down the Funivia after they have paid tribute to Ubaldo in his basilica and probably touched the Ceri, the three Ceri carried in the race May 15th. The Ceri stay in the basilica all year and are carried down through Gubbio in solemn procession on May 1st. And they will stay in the civic palace of the 14th century until May 15th, when they are carried out for the race of the Ceri. The race of the Ceri, or the candlestick race for a bad translation, brings the Ceri back up to the basilica as the Ceraioli carry the three Ceri. May 15th, Corso dei Ceri, best to be in Gubbio. Whenever you're in Gubbio, take the funicular up to see the splendor and visit the Basilica di Sant'Ubaldo. As you're near the top of Mountaintop on the Funivia, laying out before you is the medieval splendor of Gubbio.
And here we go into the Basilica. I'm with Beth and Tim, who are in a tour with me and really loved Gubbio. And we're enchanted, as I am enchanted by Gubbio. And we see the banners of the Ceri. In the center is the yellow banner of Bishop Ubaldo. Just to the left of Bishop Ubaldo, as we look at him, his banner is San Giorgio in blue and Antonio in black. And it is incredible to think that the Ceri are carried up this dirt path through the whole city of Gubbio, and the race usually doesn't last more than 10 minutes, and into the Basilica, and Ubaldo is first. The feast is in his honor, and they slam the door on the Giorgiari, all the Ubaldari, and with many imprecations, the door is opened again, and in comes Giorgio. And then they might try to close the door on Sant'Antonio, not quite sure. And after the three Ceri are in, they run around the courtyard of this basilica 3 times. 3 is the sacred number, is it not? It was the sacred number for the Umbri, and of course for all of Christians and all those following Sant'Ubaldo. And this is the beautiful cloister of the Basilica di Sant'Ubaldo, again 16th century. And right over here on the right, we have the carriers of the Ceri, but not the May 15th Ceri, when the adults carry up the saints surmounted on the Ceri. And you can see the perforation here. This is where the Cero would fit into the barella, which is the carrier. But these are the barelli of the Mezzani, because the week before we were up visiting, the teenagers had carried their Ceri. Adults carry the Ceri May 15th, teenagers mid-May. The little ones, the Ceri Piccoli, June 2nd. And in we go to the Basilica of Sant'Ubaldo And when we go in, our first stop will be to see the Ceri, the three Ceri, the candles, if you will. Ubaldo in the middle, George on his left, Antonio on the right. And anybody coming up will go over and touch those Ceri and perhaps even kiss those Ceri, the three Ceri of Gubbio, all finely inlaid. I think they date from about the 18th century. They've probably been redone over the centuries. And behind the Ceri are the barelle, the carriers, which carry up these Ceri on May 15th.
And the barelle that we saw outside were definitely the barelle of the mezzani, because the barelle of the Ceri run May 15th are right here behind their Ceri. Up here in the Basilica of Sant'Ubaldo, not going down to Gubbio until May 1st of next year. Here we have Beth, who came up with me today, and she's taken her photos of the Ceri. The one on the left is San Giorgio. And the ceraioli who carry up the cero of San Giorgio are called San Giorgiari. The cero in the middle is Saint Ubaldo. And the ceraioli carrying up him wear yellow shirts, pardon me, and they're called the Sant'Ubaldari. The Sant'Antoniari, carrying the third cero here on the right, are called Sant'Antoniari, the carriers of this cero, because this is the cero which will be topped with the statue of St. Anthony Abbot. So the first one topped with San Giorgio, the second one with Sant'Ubaldo, the third one with Sant'Antonio. And now, since we're up at the Basilica, before leaving, we touch the Ceri. The altar is the incorrupt body of Saint Ubaldo, Bishop of Gubbio, beloved patron saint of the city, who died in the mid-12th century, and this basilica built to house his body. Beautiful altar cloth with the symbols of San Giorgio, Sant'Ubaldo, Bishop, Sant'Antonio, the flame burning with love for the Lord. And the stained glass windows are contemporary, and we want to have a look at them in this Basilica of St. Ubaldo, because they tell us the stories of the life of Sant'Ubaldo. The stained glass windows telling many of the stories of his life. And this is the upper right, is he intervenes to create peace in one of the internal feuds of Gubbio in the early 12th century. And here, the lower left, the city takes fire, and Saint Ubaldo saves it. This is the re-edification of the cathedral after the destruction of fire. So in these stained glass windows, many stories of the life of Saint Ubaldo. On the left, we have the baptism of Saint Ubaldo, 1090. We have him above renouncing the idea of marriage to take up a life of chastity. We can see him ordained.
And in the lower right-hand corner, the preparation of the young Ubaldo for his ordination as a priest.
Our two windows here, stained glass windows, represent episodes of great importance in the life of Ubaldo. He intervenes with Frederick Barbarossa to ask him to desist from attacking Gubbio. And Ubaldo saves the city of Gubbio from an attack by the Emperor Frederick Barbarossa. And there is Ubaldo with Frederick Barbarossa. So for the Eugubino, Eugubini, this Sant'Ubaldo is the savior of the city. And as I leave the basilica, I look back at the Ceri, and behind them are the stained glass windows showing how Ubaldo saved his city from devastation by the Emperor Barbarossa. Hence the gratitude of the Eugubini to their Bishop Ubaldo, honored in the Corso dei Ceri, May 15th. Don't miss it.